Thank you so much, Ms. Narasimhan, for joining us here today at this event. Let me start, like I mentioned earlier, Colgate-Palmolive has been at the forefront of innovation. And in today's world, where we have a rapid evolving business landscape, how does Colgate-Palmolive stay agile? How does it stay adaptive to market shifts? And most importantly, for consumer expectations?
So firstly, Shruti, thank you very much for having me here. It's a privilege to be addressing an audience like this. And I always love the fact that there are so many women in this room. So a big shout out to all the women in this room particularly. So I think, firstly, I've been in this company just for 2 years, but obviously I've watched this brand through my entire life, having grown up with it. 87 years in this country. It,
wow.
I think, started as the leader in oral care. It built the oral care category, and it continues to be the leader in oral care. It's not an easy task, given the level of churn that's happened. And I think before I get into answering the question of how do we stay current, I think maybe some few basic principles. I always think that FMCG is a relatively simple industry to work in.
Simple industry.
Indeed, because actually what all of us are looking for as consumers is, please give me a product that works and delivers to the promise that you're making at a price that delivers value in a place where I shop. And if you can get these 4 things right, and you can do them consistently, then by and large, consumers tend to reward you with their loyalty, with their money, quite often with their love, even if that love is not as overt as it is for some of the other categories. So I think it is a relatively simple industry. Having said that, obviously, on each of these parameters, whether you talk about the quality of the product, whether you talk about where you make it available, whether you talk about what's the promise that you make and how do you live up to that promise, and of course the value that you deliver, everything has changed. And maybe I can spend just a few seconds on each of them. So as far as product is concerned, Colgate actually is built on a legacy of deep science. I don't think there is a oral care company on this planet that spends more money on understanding what's going on in your mouth and with your teeth and with your gums. And that deep science actually is brought to bear in the tech that comes into everyday products. And because the mission of the company is to improve the oral health of everybody, that tech is actually brought at all levels of the pyramid. So it's not that, the more expensive products are get the oral care science and tech, and the base ones don't deliver. So to give you an example, Colgate Strong Teeth, which is our flagship brand, also the market standard brand, actually incorporates arginine technology, which really helps in the strengthening of your teeth and the prevention of cavities. So just as an example. So that's, I think, the first one, which is how does a company make sure that they're constantly investing to understand science, understand new science, bring that into product. I think the second one, of course, is how do you make a promise to consumers? There's now so much more information out there. How do you make sure that you are delivering to what you're saying, keeping up with the benefits that consumers want? So when oral care first started in this country, it was all about prevent cavities. Make sure that my child doesn't have cavities. He or she is able to go to school pain-free. That was where it all started. It's built from there, and now if you take a look, consumers want fresher breath, whiter teeth, free of gum disease, no cavities, addressing of sensitivity issues, so on and so forth. And maybe I can pick up whitening as the example where oral care is now crossing over into the world of beauty. So I want teeth because first you notice somebody's eyes, and then you notice someone's smile the first time you meet them. So your teeth play an integral role in that, and then you need to keep up. So as a company, we are constantly looking for trends on, how do we keep up. And then the third, which I'm sure we'll come to, is how do we reach them with the fragmentation of media channels? How do we make sure that we are where they are? And how are we making sure that the erstwhile monologue that was happening, where company talks to consumer, is now becoming a dialogue? I'm sorry, really long answer. I promise to be shorter with your next question.
Those were great insights, Prabha. But, picking up from what you just said, Colgate is a legacy brand with deep consumer trust. So how do you strike the balance, when we talk about modern innovation and traditional wisdom when developing new products? How are you doing that?
So I think the first principle that the company always follows is to rigorously test it. So, whatever it is that the company is offering is backed by clinical research. It's tested, N times over. We're making sure that when we say something does something, we are 100% confident that that is indeed happening. And I think the marriage, therefore, comes with saying the benefits that the consumers want evolve over time, but not as rapidly as the science that allows you to deliver to those benefits. So if you want, the traditional part of it is that as a mother, I still want my child to be cavity-free and go to school without pain. That hasn't changed. But, the way we can deliver to that benefit has changed, and I think that's where the juxtaposition comes in the company.
All right, okay. Now, emerging markets pose unique challenges. There's a challenge of affordability, of accessibility, and of course, environmental concerns as well. How does Colgate-Palmolive integrate sustainability into its business model, while at the same time ensuring that products remain relevant and they remain accessible?
I think the good thing about India is that firstly it presents opportunities up and down, right? There is no averaging. India is like averaging the depth of a river. And therefore, what we try to do is to make sure that we have consumer cohorts and that we have an offering for each of the cohorts. So at the top and the bottom of the pyramid, at the bottom of the pyramid, we have a 10 rupee toothpaste offering, which, like I told you, still has the best of science. It still is packaged in a recyclable tube, because it doesn't matter whether you're paying 10 rupees or you're paying 400 rupees. The logic is absolutely the same. And at the top of the pyramid, we then offer benefits that consumer is looking for. Gum care, for example. So one is you do this stratification. The second is the base principles remain the same. So what we do as Colgate is that the environment is really critical to us, and therefore actually, and I'm going to, do a little bit of chest thumping on behalf of my company here for 30 seconds. Colgate actually pioneered the recyclable toothpaste tube technology and made it open source. Because it doesn't help if only Colgate tubes are recyclable. We need all toothpaste tubes to be recyclable for them to actually get recycled. And I think that's a great example of wanting to actually do the right thing, and wanting to do the right thing for the right outcomes, not to do the right things just for a scorecard perspective.
Again, picking up from what you just said, purpose-driven brands like yours often face the challenge of balancing social impact with commercial success. How does Colgate-Palmolive navigate this equilibrium while driving long-term growth? Tell us how you managed to find that sweet spot.
So firstly, doing right by consumers and communities is good for business. I think Hina alluded to it. I'm a firm believer in it. Both the companies that I've worked for have espoused this, and both of them are actually, touch wood, quite successful. So I think that's the first thing. And the way Colgate does this is that we believe everybody has the right to better oral health. We've invested in this through the entire time that we've been in this country. One of our flagship programs, which is the Bright Smiles, Bright Future program, actually has been running in this country now for 5+ decades. It goes into schools, like a school at a time, teaching young children the right way to brush, how to use a toothpaste and a toothbrush, how to brush, ensuring that you brush twice a day, about nutrition, avoiding of substances like tobacco, pan, etc. And it does this a school at a time, child at a time. And over the 5 decades that this program has been in operation, over 180+ million children have been reached. And I think the sweet spot comment, therefore, is for us to be consistent on living our mission and our values, but doing it knowing that as we build the oral care habit, the benefit of a better oral care is to the benefit of the company. So it's not just altruism.
Absolutely. So can you share a campaign or initiative that successfully combined a long-term strategy and had a strong social message with it?
So I think I've given you the Bright Smiles, Bright Future example, but if I was to look at something more recent, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands in the room, but only 1 in 5 urban consumers actually brush their teeth at night.
Really?
Yes, only 1 in 5. And like I said, I will not ask how many of you brushed your teeth last night. But having said that, a dentist will tell you that if you had to choose one time in the day to brush your teeth, you should actually brush your teeth at night, because saliva activity in your mouth drops at night, and therefore your mouth becomes, a playground for bacteria if saliva activity has dropped. I'm sorry to be gross middle of the day, but it's true. And therefore, last year, what we realized was that instead of going to bed with toothpaste on your teeth, a lot of Indians are actually going to bed with sugar on their teeth because the last thing that they've eaten is actually dessert. And that's just compounding the problem that we have, and therefore it came up with this entire campaign of Brush Tonight, a beautiful campaign executed by Ogilvy, which actually had a whole lot of people brushing their teeth with kaju katlis and jalebis and various things before they went to sleep, just to bring home the fact that that's what we're doing to our teeth at night. And I think it was a very nice combination of a message that we wanted to land, which is that it's really important to brush at night, along with not the gross way in which I'm doing it.
You've made a great pitch there, but I want to ask, as a mother, how are you ensuring your kids are brushing at night as well?
You know, I must confess, till I joined this company, I didn't know how important it was. Now I've just become dragon lady, so it is. Now that I know how important it is, I'm sorry, there is no carrot, there is only stick on this one.
Okay, wonderful. Let's talk about, you said, FMCG is a simple space, but it is a crowded one and a competitive one. What are the key ingredients for a purpose-driven campaign to truly resonate with consumers and, of course, build long-term brand loyalty? Because that's the goal.
So I think the first thing is that there has to be a marriage between what's good for the consumer and what's good for the brand, right? I can keep talking about purpose that matters to me, but if there isn't resonance or there isn't a value exchange, so to say, with the consumer, it's never going to land. So if we go back to this Brush at Night campaign, the value exchange is that for doing something that is just really simple and is already in your home and is already a habit and you already know how to do, so for the investment of 2 minutes a day, there is a proven actual benefit for you and your family. So that's the value exchange there. The second is that as a company, this is not the first time that we're talking about the right oral care habits, and therefore there is an authenticity to the conversation. So it's not like I've woken up one morning and thinking, oh, today come let me talk about better oral care habits. And so this has been consistently built over a period of time. So if I had to drill it down onto the two things that I would check when we're doing this kind of thing, is it one, do you have the right to give that message? And two, is it something that you've done over a period of time consistently? I think consumers realize and they're very, very
and that
sharp.
Trust is built then.
Indeed.
All right. So also talk to us about some of the biggest challenges in localizing a global brand like Colgate-Palmolive, maintaining its core identity. How did you navigate those challenges, and what was the key to making this work successfully? Localizing your brand, localizing a global brand.
So I've worked in India for most of my life, and I think if you talk to my global team, one of the complaints that they would have about the India team is that we always talk about, but India is different. And I think one of the things that we have to balance as a global brand is that there is a lot of fantastic work that's being done in the globe. However, there are things about India that are different, and there are ways that we operate in this country that are different, and there are things about our consumers
so
that's
give
different.
us an example.
So for example, price point packs outside of maybe some parts of Africa and India, driving access even for your premium products. So it's not just the base products that need to be sold at an access price point. You do need to ensure that you're giving even your more premium products at an access price point. So that's one. Second is on the insight on things like whitening. Whitening toothpaste in other countries is a really easy sell because everybody realizes the need for whiter teeth and they want whiter teeth. And if you see any Hollywood movie, you will see the absolutely incredible
Shining
teeth that all of them have a separate conversation on how they got it. But you can see that benefit already exists, and as a result, whitening in those countries is upwards of 20-25% of the market. In India, we have a whitening penetration that's sub 2%.
Sub 2%?
Sub 2%. And therefore, our job is to do the market development for it, which is a little bit different than operating in a market where it's 20%. So there are lots of these differences. I think what stays absolutely the same is one, what is the core of the Colgate brand? Trust, oral care expertise, endorsed by dentists. That stays absolutely consistent. And the second is, of course, our commitment to ensuring that the best science goes into the product. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, that science doesn't change.
All right, so if you could also share some insights or lessons from the Indian market, perhaps, that you believe global markets could learn from.
So I think the agility in the Indian market is just exceptional. I mean, I'm privileged to have an exceptionally high quality team that works in Colgate, and the speed with which they respond. So the most recent example, I know it's top of mind for everybody, is the rise of quick com. I mean, last year we didn't have quick com. This year, everybody everywhere is talking about quick com. The ability to respond quickly to say, who is the consumer who's shopping on quick com? What is it that they're looking for? And how, therefore, do we drive advantage for that? Has just pivoted like this, and you know it's been incredible. And the portfolio that we sell on quick com is distinct even from the portfolio that we sell in modern trade. And the speed with which the teams have responded to this opportunity, I think, is amazing. So agility, I think, is one thing to definitely learn from this country. The second one, I think, is frugality. The minister alluded to things like ISRO, which are you know at a national level where we managed to do outstanding things at very frugal cost. That is true of the company as well. We have an amazing program that keeps sucking out non-value added cost. It's the gift that keeps on giving every single year, and I'm sure that's true of many of the other companies that are sitting in this room. That's the second thing. And I think the third thing for me from an India context is a never say die attitude. It's always, life is never linear. Things go up and things go down, but then we're always up the next day and at it again.
Absolutely. So agility, frugality, and never say die attitude. You know, before I wrap up, Prabha, you know, I want to know, how has Colgate-Palmolive transformed your personal journey? If you can throw some light on that.
So, you know, it was an exceptionally difficult decision. I had worked for Unilever for 25 years, and a part of my heart always resides over there. I think the transformation has really been to come to a company. We often talk about, you know, equity, inclusion, that kind of thing. I must confess that having joined this company 2-3 months into the job, I felt truly included. I felt like I had been a Colgate person for much longer than the 2-3 months would indicate. And I think it's been for me a real lesson in what actual inclusion means.
And what was that? What was that made you feel like truly included?
I think the entire culture of the place is warm, it's welcoming, it gives you the space to operate while including you in what's happening. It's a difficult balance to do, but this company does it exceptionally well.
So, of course, talk to us about the company culture where creativity and technology are working in synergy. How are you doing that at Colgate-Palmolive?
My best example on this has to be the most recent oral health movement that we just launched. So, just to throw some numbers, because I like numbers, only 9% of India goes to a dentist. The majority of people go to a dentist only when they're in pain and not for the regular checkup that you should ideally go for. 1 out of 2 times that you go to a dentist, a tooth gets extracted, which is not a great outcome. And so what we wanted to do as part of our mission of bettering oral health is to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to assess the quality of their teeth and gum health. So we worked with a partner to create a WhatsApp-based bot, which allows you to take just 3 pictures of your mouth and will give you an assessment along with a set of few questions about your gum health, your staining or whiteness of your teeth, and your potential for cavities, and give you a personalized report. 4.5 roughly million Indians have taken this and now have a personalized AI-generated report. And then it links you, if you would like, to a dentist near you. And thanks to the IDA, we have about 50,000 plus dentists who have offered their time to do the checkup free. So you can go from there to the dentist, all entirely free. So the scanning is free, the checkup is free, and it's been an outstanding use of technology to put power in the hands of consumers.
Absolutely. And one final question. As a leader, how do you define success beyond financial performance? And what is the kind of legacy that you would like to leave behind in the FMCG space?
So I think from a beyond financial performance, it really is about people. Do people feel energized to come to work every day and give of their best? I think that for me is the indicator of a quality of the organization. And when they leave, because people will leave, what do they say about you? When they are no longer expecting a salary check at the end of the month, what do they say about your company? I think is a real indicator of the quality of your company. And the legacy I would love to leave is a quote from Maya Angelou. I love it. I use it all the time, which is, I think she said, said that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did,
Yes.
but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I hope that I will make them feel better today than they did yesterday.
Well, on that wonderful note, I'll have to wrap up this conversation. Thank you for your insight. It was an absolute honor speaking with you.
So much, Shruti. It's been a pleasure.